Mute us all. And just a reminder, make sure to unmute before it is your turn to speak. And here comes our participants. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to today's virtual interactive panel discussion brought to you by Oregon Chapter of ACHE. My name is Tia, and I will be serving as your ACHE technical host for today. We are so glad you were able to join us. Before we get started, I would like to go over a few items to help you navigate the program in our virtual environment. For the purposes of noise control, your lines will be muted for the duration of the session. The chat function will be available to you throughout the entire event. This event is being recorded and will be available for viewing in ACHE's Learning Management System in approximately 2 business days. Today's session is worth 1.5 hours of ACHE Virtual Interactive Education credit. To earn this credit, you must be logged in for the entire 90 minutes of this event. All attendees who meet this requirement will have their 1.5 virtual interactive education credit applied within 2 weeks from today's event. We do encourage you to complete the evaluation for this event. I'm going to be dropping the link in the chat box shortly, and then I will reshare it before we close out today's session. Now, to begin, let me turn it over to Valdez.
All right. Hey, everybody. Good morning. Looking good, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. So thank you so much for getting up on this Friday morning for some awesome early learning, for taking time out of your work schedule and maybe your sleep schedule for some professional development and growth. We're really excited to have you here. My name is Valdez Bravo, and I use he, him, his pronouns. And I have the honor of, when I'm not president of the Oregon chapter of ACHE, I have the honor of currently serving as the deputy director at the Multnomah County Health Department. And just to remind folks that, there's this whole healthcare aspect of the public health service aspect. Just Multnomah County is Oregon's largest, most populous county with a diverse community of over 800,000 residents and distributed over 465 square miles. So we're serving population in a public health way across all those, to include corrections health, behavioral health, public health, federally qualified health centers, Oregon's largest, the community health center, and more. Now, I'm an Army veteran of 8 years who continued my service at the VA for 18 years in positions of increasing responsibility. Hey, Claro, Gary, and other VA buddies out there. Ultimately serving as Associate Director of the VA in White City. I've been active with ACHE since attending the Army Baylor University Graduate Program in Health and Business Administration, Sikkim Bears. And I've been a board member of Oregon ACHE since 2019, and I currently serve again as president until December 31st. And then President-elect Wing Chan from Samaritan, who you all elected in May, will be stepping up. Just in case there's folks out here who this might be a new event for you, or your first time doing an event with ACHE, I would just like to tell a little bit about ACHE before we get to the programming on strategically mapping your early career development, which is what we're here to talk about, and I'm so excited for. ACHE's vision is to be the preeminent professional society for leaders dedicated to advancing health. Our mission is to advance our members and healthcare leadership excellence. Our values are integrity, lifelong learning, leadership, and diversity and inclusion. For over 85 years, the American College of Healthcare Executives, or ACHE, has focused on one mission: advancing leaders in the field of healthcare leadership excellence. We are the professional home to more than 48,000 healthcare executives who are committed to integrity, lifelong learning, leadership, and DEIB, those values that I talked about. With today's rapidly changing healthcare environment, ACHE remains more committed than ever to being the preeminent professional society leaders can count on to help them gain valuable knowledge to improve health for their patients and communities. And in addition, through an established network of 76 chapters, of which, of course, we're the best, to have access to networking, education, and career development at the local level. Members could also earn the prestigious gold standard FACHE credential, signaling board certification in healthcare management. So to find out more about ACHE, please visit www.ache.org. Now, Oregon ACHE, our local chapter that's hosting our event today, and thank you to Jennifer Will, our committee chair, who led the charge to get this event going, all of our events. Our chapter is formerly known as the Oregon Society of Healthcare Executives. So if you ever heard that term, we're now been renamed, rebranded as Oregon ACHE. Our state chapter and our board members span the state in a variety of roles in healthcare organizations, from hospitals to government to institutions of higher learning. We've got physicians, we've got pharmacists, we've got administrators, the whole educators from OSU, the whole gamut on our board. Our goal is to provide local learning, right? So we're doing this, here locally, but we also do in person and networking opportunities here in our beautiful state. To find out more about Oregon ACHE, our board, or upcoming events, please visit OregonACHE.org. And last but not least, if you would like to get involved in the committee, I got involved with the Planning and Education Committee back in 2014, right out of grad school. And look at me now. So if you'd like to get involved in a committee, getting involved in a committee can be a great opportunity to not only expand your network, but also, again, shape programming that you would like to see here in Oregon. Be the change, as they say, and get more involved with ACHE. So for more information on how to get involved, I'll drop my email in the chat. You can send me an email saying, hey, Valdez, put me in, coach. You're ready to play. We have exciting opportunities to serve on our committees of programming, communications, and our still very new membership committee. And we would love to hear from you on your ACHE experience here in Oregon. And so with that, I'm going to turn the conversation, the mic over to MC, to Ray Beidler, who's going to be our amazing moderator for today's event. And I'm so thankful for your moderating and for this great discussion you're about to lead. Ray, take it away.
Thank you, Valdez. Well, welcome everyone. Ray Beidler here, and we have some slides to share with you. So I'm going to pull those up and want to encourage you all during this presentation today to please add your comments, and I'll be watching those along the way. We will have some time towards the end of our session today, about 10-15 minutes, to talk about your questions. I have some questions for our panelists as well. So please do add those comments, and I'll be watching for those when I'm not talking. So today we're really talking about focused on our changing healthcare environment, how early careerists or those changing jobs need skills and strategies to position themselves for the future, even for all of us. Our audience will be, it's all of you, it's students, new graduates, early careerists, mentors as well. So you should be able to take back some skills, some new ways of looking at things today. So you're gonna hear from our peers today, and we have just a quick thank you, Valdez, for the president's welcome. You'll hear a little bit from me, but mostly we'll be talking. You'll be hearing from our panelists. We have Jeanette Gonzalez, we have Dahlia Halwani, and Sue Zhang, and then we'll have time for your questions at the end. So we'll be focusing on the nuts and bolts of career planning, things we've learned along the way. Hope that will hopefully be helpful to you in building your career and focusing on where you want to focus. So just a little bit about me, lots of words there, but just a lovely picture from Alaska there to help. And happy Friday. I forgot to say that. So happy Friday to everyone. I have my MHA that I got in 2010. Before that, I was a student member of ACHE, loved going to our Oregon events, and I'm back working on our planning committee. I am doing my doctorate right now in healthcare science from Pacific University. So that's been a lovely, just getting back into health policy and equity and everything we should be focusing on. I'm a program director at George Fox, and I'll talk a little bit about that. That's my focus today. I also do privacy. I'm a privacy specialist at Care Oregon. I am involved on the national board for AHIMA, the American Health Information Management Association. So as Valdez was talking about, you can get started at your local level and then just continue on. So I just encourage you all to sign up, see if you can volunteer with our state chapter here or any of your professional associations. Just a great way to challenge you and learn new skills and meet new people. So I am part of our George Fox University Accelerated Online Degrees. We have a Be Known promise that every student will be known as much as they would love to be known within all of their classes, even though we teach asynchronously online. We have a 91% retention rate, and as of last year, we are now in the ACHE's higher education network for our health administration program. We're cohort based, so you get to know your cohort, the students who are completing the degree with you. And our classes are focused. So I'm teaching right now one class for 5 weeks. They get to hear healthcare law from me. So they're focused on that. And I think we have students in this session as well. So wonderful to see you all. So again, our accelerated bachelor degrees, we have cybersecurity, we have data analytics, management and organizational leadership, and my favorite, healthcare administration. So just wanted to share a little bit about that. And then just real quickly, so this is me as part of our national association, but also at our state level for AHIMA. What we do is advocate for our health policy. So that's me at Capitol Hill earlier this year. I go every year as part of my board tenure. Just great to talk with our state representatives about the things that are impacting us and our patients. So get involved is number one. Even if you're not in a formal position, you can always help advocate for our patients, advocate for changes that need to happen. I always encourage my students and challenge them to find, if they feel frustrated, you can share your voice. Also, just real quickly, just finding your niche. And you'll hear from our panelists today about that, like finding your passion, doing the, what gets you up in the morning to go to your job. So finding something that really is a passion for you. Always expanding your skills. So I'm in a leadership program where learning a little more about leadership, and it's like, I think I already know all this, but I don't. So being open to learning new skills, it's amazing what you'll learn or relearn, or things you thought you knew, but you might not. So always expanding your skills and being open to new things. So, maybe volunteering, maybe learning something new about, I don't know, a new hobby even would be something that can really help you. So I do some other work, STEM Like a Girl, where I encourage 3rd through 5th grade girls to learn more about STEM careers. And that's been a new thing for me. But it's just great to, push yourself to learning new things. Find a mentor and be a mentor. So I've been lucky to have some really great mentors along the way. And now we've actually changed roles, and now they mentor me, or I mentor that, it can go back and forth. So you can really find colleagues in that as well. But we'd encourage you to be a mentor, help those who may be looking for someone to just, have that relationship with and learn new things. And then just take the leap. Sign up to be on our committee, sign up to give a presentation. You never know where it's going to lead. So with that, I'm going to transition, and please feel free to add comments as well. And I'm going to hand it over to Jeanette.
I wanted to make sure I unmuted myself before I got to talk in. Um, well, thank you, Array, for the introduction. As you heard, my name is Jeanette Gonzalez. My pronouns are she, her, and hers. And as Valdez said, thank you so much for waking up early and joining us over here at 7 a.m., 7:15. So I appreciate you guys showing up today. Michael is an ACH member and possibly in the audience today. He told me about ACHE, and I was really excited and honored to participate in this discussion this morning. So thank you all for having me. And today I want to talk about what can fuel our careers. For me, that's passion. As someone who was once young in their career or early on in their career, my passion was more about being promoted. Being promoted to what? I didn't really care. I just wanted to have the next title, make more money, be more important, have more autonomy, whatever being promoted looked like to me at the time. And then, as I'll share in a later slide, it wasn't until a personal life event caused me to refocus and figure out what I was really passionate about. I really had to sit with myself, think about my career, where it was going, and what was going to sustain me for the next several decades. And I'll tell you right now, it wasn't the role I was in at that time as a newly promoted project manager. Next slide, please. So just a little bit about me, what you would find on my LinkedIn profile or as part of my resume. Next slide, please. So currently I'm at Southern Oregon Cardiology. I've been here for just a little bit over a year now. SOC is a phenomenal clinic in Medford, Oregon. We have about 20 cardiologists and 8 nurse practitioners. So on top of having a great team of clinical providers, we also have an amazing staff. So it truly is a special place. I'm proud to be the organization's manager of patient services. In this role, I'm able to ensure that our patients' care begins with the very first phone call, and it continues to be a positive experience when they come to our office. So I was drawn to SOC because of their vision statement, and that's what I wanted to share on this slide. It starts by saying that love is at the heart of the practice. So that's care for each other, care for our staff, our patients, and the communities we serve. That vision really aligned with my values and resonated with my passion and my purpose. So I applied. Next slide, please. So I found this quote by Gabrielle Bernstein, who's written some phenomenal books, but she said, allow your passion to become your purpose, and one day it will become your profession. And that really resonated with me and was really powerful. So again, thinking back to young me, what was I passionate about? I initially thought it was that promotion, the more money, but as I grew in my career and started making those salaries that I wanted to make, I found that even that didn't make me want to jump out of bed every day. So I received my degree in organizational management, basically human resources, because I truly do enjoy finding where people best fit in companies and helping them find their passions in the workplace. That was kind of ironic since I didn't quite know what my passion in the workplace was just yet. I also chose that career because it felt safe. Originally, I wanted to major in art history because that was a passion, but I didn't know what could be done with that. Tons of things, it turns out, but that's okay. Next slide, please. So where do we start this journey to find our passion? I suggest taking time to define our values, and that will lead you to your passion and your purpose. Our values can really define what is important to us and lead you to maybe discover your career purpose or your purpose in life in general as a bigger picture. These can change over time. Some might be more or less important over time, but they do really set the foundation. Next slide, please. So questions you might ask yourself would be like, what is important in my life? What isn't important? How do I want to be seen and perceived by others? And when considering jobs, you want them to align with your values. So when you're looking at jobs, what might be a deal breaker? What doesn't sit well with you? Or what does feel good? What kind of culture do you want to be a part of? These are all questions that you might want to sit and think about when you're thinking about your values. All right. Let's see, next slide, please. Oh, I apologize. Can we go back one? Okay, I'll talk just a little bit more about values. I apologize. We got a little bit ahead of ourselves. But I wanted to share some of my personal values over time. Some that were very important to me were to be impeccable with my word, to assume best intent from others, to create positive change, and to be kind and compassionate. And so when I'm looking at companies, I want to see if their values align with my own before I get involved with them. So I tend to start with a company's mission or vision, and then I look at how that company involves in the communities that they're located in or the communities that they serve, and make sure that we align. All right, next slide, please. All right, so now we've talked a bit about values. So now if we think about what we're passionate about, and I think Oprah sums it up nicely. She once said, passion is energy. So you can feel the power that comes from really focusing on what excites you. So something when you're thinking about your passion, think about if you didn't have those basic needs that need to be met, right? So young me might have chosen to have a career in art history, right? But I got caught up thinking in those basic needs like money and shelter, and that's fair because those are important as well. But in this question, think about what activities you do that bring you joy. And that might be a good indication of what you want to base your career on. So for young me, again, I thought that was being promoted for having a good schedule, more autonomy, more responsibilities. I really wanted to be seen by others as being important. And you could even say that that was something I really valued back then. So enter a personal life event for me, my father getting diagnosed with terminal cancer. At this time, I was living in Palo Alto, California, close to prestigious hospitals such as Stanford and Sutter Health. And he was living in Rogue River, Oregon, basically a service desert. His lackluster care team left much to be desired. And it was at this time that I learned how much we must advocate for our own healthcare needs and be an active participant in our own health. So during his treatment, I encountered doctors and nurses with less than pleasant bedside manners. We were given instructions to follow with no explanations. We weren't offered assistance in searching for clinical trials or second opinions. And as someone that had never navigated the healthcare system as a truly sick person or an advocate for a sick loved one, it was really devastating and just truly heartbreaking. I felt completely let down by a system that was supposed to nurture its sick back to health. And this changed my career course, and it helped me realize my passion. So at the time, I was working as a newly promoted project manager for a marketing research firm, and we helped bring new food and beverages to the marketplace. So it was interesting work, but it wasn't truly fulfilling. My work was to help brands understand that if they changed their product packaging, consumers might perceive that the quality changed or even the taste had changed if there was nothing that actually changed inside the packaging. I also helped develop many new flavors of Oreos and teach the company which flavors wouldn't work and share the data on why those wouldn't work. I was also part of a nationwide study, a double-blind study that proved Americans prefer Wendy's French fries over McDonald's French fries. I'm sorry, that'll be the most controversial statement I'll make today. I know people have strong opinions about that. So while I might have been making a difference in food and beverages, I wasn't really making a difference in the world or the community I lived in. And that's what eventually would become important to me and serve as my passion. I was also working more than I cared to at this time. With offices in Chicago and California, it wasn't uncommon for me to work from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. We had a gym, showers, and a full kitchen at work. So often I'd go to work out, eat dinner, shower, and then go home to just basically sleep. So not a great work-life balance. So then with my dad being sick, I realized that I was passionate about the patient experience. And that truly began with the first phone call that you make to a doctor's office. I wanted to help ensure that patients were treated with kindness and dignity, and they felt cared for at every interaction, that they didn't feel like they were a chart number or a phone call, an inconvenience. I left my work in consumer research and I started at Bay Area Cancer Connections. Bay Area Cancer Connections is a nonprofit that supports people with breast and ovarian cancer with free personalized services to support them and their families before, during, and after treatment. I had no experience in the nonprofit world, but what I did is I spoke passionately about why I wanted to work there, and I was given a chance. So as you go through your career, I really encourage you to check in with yourselves and acknowledge if your passions have changed. You might really be surprised. And when you're starting out early in your career, pay attention to those things that energize and excite you. What are you drawn to? What are you naturally good at? This may help you discover your passions. Next slide, please. All right, so we spent some time talking about passion and our values. And so now we look at this really deep question. What's our purpose? What's our purpose in our career? What's our purpose in life? So it's really our deeper reason for existence. And that sounds like a lot, at 7:30 a.m. So sorry if that's a lot to sit with, but it's truly what gives our life meaning and provides us with a sense of fulfillment. It's what will encourage you to get out of bed each morning. These early mornings or these late nights, it's what's going to keep you going. It may also be a catalyst for participating in our communities as volunteers. Um, so again, for me, my father getting sick was a catalyst for finding my passion and my purpose. And so I really think my purpose is helping people that are actively unwell. And that makes me feel fulfilled, and I can go home at the end of a long day at work and feel like I really spent my time well, and I can feel good about that. Um, so just here I put, at a basic level, my purpose to be of service to others and to put good into the world each day. And that has really helped me decide my career path in healthcare, and just feel so honored to be able to serve patients every day. So currently I am working with cardiac patients, but I would really be happy supporting any patients, cancer patients, patients with mental disorders, substance abuse disorders, terminal illnesses. I like supporting patients. I think reducing barriers to care is really important. Providing care that is dignified in a patient's language that's appropriate for their identity and their mental abilities. Just making sure that this happens with each and every patient during every interaction. And as a patient services manager, being sure that my staff is able to do this as well, is just really important to me. So now that I'm more established in my career, I'm finding that my purpose and my passion really do keep me going. And I get to go to work each day, and I know that my team that I've helped build, grow, and develop wants to do this work with me. And so that feels really special. Before I was so money motivated or motivated by the next promotion. And now, in this later part of my career, I'm excited to promote and celebrate others. I want to see my team grow in their passions, find their purposes. I want to understand their values and support them in any way that I can. So my purpose also compels me to volunteer in my community. So my current favorite is First Phoenix Community Center in Phoenix, Oregon. It's a clothing closet and a food pantry, and it's open to anyone in need. So I just mentioned like lowering barriers to care is super important. So for this service, there's no qualifications, there's no income requirements. You just show up and you receive the items you need. So in the future, I plan to start a college scholarship fund as well, for children with a parent or parents in treatment for cancer or that have lost a parent or parents for cancer. Again, just creating, kind of better outcomes for people that have been part of the healthcare system. Next slide, please. So all this to say, that our career might have some twists and turns. And as an early person in their career, this was kind of frightening. But now on the other side of it, I realize it's normal that our first job probably won't be our dream job. For maybe some of us it will be, and that's phenomenal, and you can grow in that work and that career. But it's totally fine if your first job isn't that job you always dreamed of. It might even take a few jobs, but all of it will come together to tell your story when you're applying for your dream job. And your dream job, it might change over time. I can tell you when I lived in Palo Alto, I always wanted the next title, the next salary increase. I wanted a seat in all the meetings because I wanted to feel really, really important. So these days, I'm more than happy with a manager title and a smaller salary, but being able to make the differences that I feel are important. I'm more content working reasonable hours and actually being off on days that I'm scheduled to be off. I don't wear a burnout badge. I don't wear burnout like a badge of honor. And I don't brag about all the extra hours I'm working like I used to. So there's a value shift there for me. I'll never forget in some of my careers as younger me, One that my friends will never let me live down is taking work calls during a group rafting trip down the Rogue River. Um, and then we were talking about COVID before this meeting started, and I was troubleshooting Zoom while, as a patient, I was being wheeled into surgery. So these are, kind of the things that I was doing, and because I don't think I was living my values, I was doing things just for a career. So I'm not saying that, senior leadership or doing these things is bad. I'm just saying that, as we shift in our careers and as we grow, our priorities, our purpose, and our values might change over time, and that's okay. I'm perfectly happy to have someone else do those things and take a back seat. Next slide, please. So I wanted to show this slide just to kind of show my path and really the randomness. And I keep my profile, my LinkedIn profile updated, and I added an About Me section just to kind of explain some of this, because I really thought when I was applying for jobs, like, who in their right mind would hire me, right? With all these twists and turns and kind of unrelated job experiences. But when I started connecting the dots, I realized that each of these roles were important to me gaining experience, to gaining life experience, to further understanding what was important to me. I think as you work with different CEOs and different executive directors, you'll understand quickly, like, if your values align with them or if they don't. You'll be excited to go to work or you're going to dread going to work. And it's really important to listen to those things. So I also just wanted to share that I often took roles that were lower than the dream job that I wanted at the company I was applying for. And I did that because I knew I didn't have the experience or enough experience in the position I was interested in. So I would start in one role and then eventually get promoted into the role that I was most interested in. And personally, this was a helpful strategy for me in advancing my career early on. Um, so yeah, this is just the randomness of my career. And now I'm in patient care. So from clothing sales to patient care, it all worked out in the end for me. Next slide, please. So this is about where I leave you. So who am I on a professional level, and what do I tell people during interviews and during and on my LinkedIn profile? I say that I have a varied work career, as you just saw, and I say that's allowed me to gain experience in different fields and industries. In addition to my degree, I supplement my education with certificate programs in related fields. And I really don't mind being personal and sharing my background and why a role at like company would mean a lot to me. I believe that being transparent and sharing our values, our passions, and our purpose will give an employer insight as to who we are and a better understanding of the value that we would bring to a position. So I encourage you to take some time and reflect on these three items: value, passion, and purpose, and see if they can help you navigate your professional development and career. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeanette. Just amazing. I have so many thoughts and questions. Please make sure you check the chat too. There's been some great comments as well. Just how you aligned your values and with your passion and everything there. So please, if you do have questions for Jeanette or along the line, we'll add those in the chat or wait, and you can voice them when we come to our question and answer time as well. So we're gonna, thank you, Jeanette. Move on and hear from our next panelist, Dahlia, talking about changing direction.
Hi, everyone. Good morning. Yeah, thank you, Jeanette. That was truly so inspiring. And thank you for being so vulnerable and sharing your personal story. That really, really was very moving. Hi, everyone. So I just want to first say what a full circle moment this is. I used to attend these conferences during my undergrad all the time. So to be a panel speaker is just over the moon. It's such an honor to be here. So my name is Dahlia Halwani, and today I'm going to discuss a common experience that maybe we've all faced, which is when our vision for the future doesn't align with the reality that we face. Sometimes, despite our best efforts and careful planning, life takes different courses. It's in these moments that resilience, adaptability, and a renewed sense of purpose is key. And then I'll be sharing some insights on how to navigate these situations, learn from them, and continue moving forward with confidence and strength. So, a little bit about myself. Personally, I actually grew up in the Middle East. I didn't move here until I was about 10 years old. Have been in California ever since in Orange County. I was able to complete my bachelor's of science and healthcare administration from Sacramento State. And I've been in healthcare for over 11 years, both spanning nonprofit and for profit sectors. Currently, I'm the surgical administrator at Planned Parenthood of Orange and San Bernardino counties. In this role, I oversee specialty and surgical programs, focusing on streamlining operations, developing programs, and having the opportunity to mentor some managers. That has been really, really special. My passion for healthcare is driven by a deep commitment to patient advocacy. I want to be able to be that strong voice for those in need. Maybe they've lost their voice, they haven't found their voice, ensuring that they're receiving the best care and outcomes possible. So, not only does my work impact lives of patients, but also has given me a profound sense of fulfillment and also purpose. Next slide, please. I did want to share a little bit of background on my organization, which includes Planned Parenthood Federation of America, and we'll get into a little bit about my affiliate. So, the Planned Parenthood Federation of America, PPFA for short, currently consists of 49 locally governed affiliates across the nation. So, with that, we have nearly 600 clinics and centers which provide a variety of healthcare services. So that includes contraception, testing and treatment for sexually transmitted infections, and cervical and cancer screenings. So if you think of PPFA, I have a little picture of an umbrella here because it really is like an umbrella. Under the PPFA umbrella, you have all of these affiliates. Each affiliate runs independently, guided by specific regulations and standards. So that way they're able to have some sort of autonomy so they can navigate and best provide care for their community specifically. Next slide, please. Thank you. At Planned Parenthood of Orange and San Bernardino counties, PPSBC for short, we operate a total of 9 health centers total that serve the diverse communities of both Orange and San Bernardino counties. Beyond reproductive care, we also provide a comprehensive range of primary care services through our partnership with Melody Health. So patients can access these services both in office and via telehealth. With Melody, they have the option to actually choose us as their primary care provider. And I always like to say it's 7 days a week, even on Sundays. So, which is really, really great for our patients to have that kind of access. Furthermore, PPSBC stands out as the only affiliate actually in the nation to partner with Women, Infants, and Children, which is our WIC program, which is a state-funded initiative designed to promote healthy pregnancies, optimal birth outcomes, and strong child development as well. And lastly, in addition to these services, PPSBC also offers care through our PP Direct app, which is a very convenient way for patients to access a variety of reproductive health services. The user-friendly app allows them to connect with the type of care that they need, whether that's birth control, UTI treatment, emergency contraception, or access to the abortion pill. Using the app is so straightforward. You just download the app, choose the service you require, you complete a very quick health questionnaire, submit the request, and a Planned Parenthood clinician or physician will review it. So obviously it's making it so much easier for patients to access care while maintaining their privacy and convenience as well. Next slide, please. I always like to provide some stats. I'm very proud of all that we're doing. So I wanted to showcase the impactful work in the community. I want to highlight a few key figures that truly illustrate our commitment. So we provided over 790,000 total services, which actually make us the leading affiliate in the nation in terms of service volume. And the little did you know fact, I always like to say this to everyone I meet, that actually 94% of our services are classified as preventative care. So I always like to give that little shout out. So there's some stats for y'all to review for a little bit. And although I found my passion and the work I'm currently doing. And we could go to the next slide, please. So although I found my passion in the work I'm currently doing, it actually wasn't always part of my plan. This brings me to the topic of when our carefully crafted vision, our big vision board that we've always worked on, doesn't align with our reality. This misalignment can create significant gap between our expectations and the situations we face. Not only does it underscore the challenges of unmet goals, but it can also lead to feelings of frustration, confusion, and disappointment. Throughout my life, and this is my personal story, I dreamed of becoming a nurse. For as long as I can remember, that's all I talked about. That's all I aspired to be. If you were to ask me at a very young age, you knew Dahlia as to become a nurse one day. With this dream in mind, I took the necessary courses, I applied to every program you can think of, and was so excited to be accepted into the nursing program at Sacramento State. So, naturally so, I packed all my bags and moved right up to a completely new city on my own and convinced that I was on the path to fulfilling my dream. However, it wasn't long after actually starting the program that I realized that nursing was just not the right fit. I didn't really possess that passion that required me to thrive in a position like that, in a role like nursing. Suddenly, I found myself in a foreign environment. I felt very isolated. I felt very lost with very few connections to rely on. And it really was a challenging moment that forced me to reevaluate my path. After realizing that nursing wasn't the right path for me, I faced a critical turning point in my life. I had invested so much time and energy into pursuing this one dream that I thought that I wanted, and now I find myself questioning everything. It was very daunting being in a new city, limited connections, and this sense of uncertainty about my future too. So at this point, I began to explore my interests and my values more deeply, which leads me to our next slide. Thank you. The power of an open mind. So, in today's fast paced world, it's so easy to get caught up in the flow of job hunting and focus solely on landing a position or knowing what we want to do as quickly as possible. I always say that I feel like I'm just living in fast pace and we're just fast forwarding through these moments. But I ask everyone, and I ask everyone that I meet, what if you just let your curiosity guide you? And expand your horizons beyond the search. Next slide, please. Thank you. So during my time of uncertainty, I actively sought out various opportunities to explore different career paths. I attended job fairs, volunteered in diverse roles, engaged in experiences that would help me discover what truly resonated with me. This period of exploration taught me the value of maintaining an open mind, especially when it comes to building networks and learning about the wide array of sectors available. So, attending job fairs provides a valuable opportunity to explore various industries and career paths, exposing you to roles you've may not ever considered. These events allow you to build community connections, which are invaluable. And when I attended these job fairs, I attended every job fair that you could think of. I didn't just go to the healthcare specific job fairs. I went and talked to pharmaceutical companies. I talked to marketing. I talked to everything you can think of because I was really just trying to figure out what I wanted to do. And having that open mind allows you to connect with different people, to learn about the different job sectors that are out there. And through those conversations, you're naturally going to learn where your interests lie. So by connecting with others in your field or areas of interest, you can gain practical advice, insights, and potentially even mentorship when you develop those network connections and get out there and have those conversations. Internships are another excellent way to gain hands on experience in the field without fully committing to a specific role, allowing to assess whether it's right fit for you or not. You can get an internship, it kind of feels like a real job, like a career, and you're like, this isn't really where I see myself, and that's okay because you really don't have that commitment. It's an internship. Additionally, volunteering not only enables you to give back to the community, but it can also help you explore new career opportunities while meeting people who align with your interests. This exploration was truly eye-opening for me. I discovered a passion for healthcare administration and specifically with patient advocacy, fields that allow me to make a meaningful impact without being on the front lines as a nurse. This realization obviously had me continue focus on my studies in healthcare administration. I was lucky that a lot of my courses just transferred right over, but again, that is okay if it's totally different too. And that's something that I really want to emphasize is that you don't have to figure something out. You don't have to have your plan engraved in stone that things could change and that's completely okay. Ultimately, it taught my experience and all in all taught me that it's okay if plans do change. Life is often unpredictable and our paths may shift in ways we never could have anticipated. What's important is that to remain open to new possibilities and trust that every experience contributes to our growth. Embracing this lesson has truly been transformative, enabling me to build a fulfilling career where I can advocate for patients and improve healthcare outcomes, which is truly my passion. On the last slide, the next slide that I have, thank you. I thought it'd be helpful to share some resources that can serve as a solid starting point for your career journey. One tip that I found extremely valuable is to take advantage of actually the LinkedIn premium trial. If you know me, that I always talk about that. I always tell everyone, did you use your premium trial yet? Which gives you 30 days of full access to the platform's premium features, allowing you to enhance your networking capabilities. So really, if you use the premium trial or your premium now, you can connect with and message as many people as possible. And I literally mean that. When I got premium trial, I messaged every recruiter that was on LinkedIn just to get my foot out there and start building my connections. So obviously, it increases your visibility, opportunities in your desired field. Additionally, you can view insights about who's viewing your profile, and you also get exclusive job openings and postings. And so I decided to just leave you some resources here. Through social media, I did want to kind of point that out, that social media could be used for a very positive thing. And there's a lot of Facebook groups out there that host and post different job fairs and events in the community. Also checking your local community center for available programs and resources. They're on, and there's a ton out there that we might not even know about. And of course, giving a shout out to ACHE. That's where I got a lot of my job fairs and networking opportunities and conferences, and getting to learn from a lot of the panel speakers during what their experience was and their journey was really, really insightful and eye-opening for me. And on my last slide. Thank you. Again, I really appreciate the opportunity to be part of this panel, and I feel really honored to be able to share a little bit about my story. And I hope that my experiences can resonate with some that are feeling they may be the same way or maybe went through it too one time. And of course, as always, my little quote, you're never too old to set another goal or dream a new dream. I stand by that 110%. So I had left my LinkedIn and my email here if you want to connect. But yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, Dahlia. Wonderful. I just loved, there's quotes in the that you shared about, being curious and letting it guide you. You'll see that the comments in the chat as well. So make sure to take a look at those. Just some wonderful advice. So please make sure you connect with Dahlia as well. And if you have questions, we'll hold those towards the end. So make sure you jot those down so you have them. There's so much we'll talk more when we get to that part later with our question and answer, but finding your community too, that was great, so you can really be a guest in a lot of communities and find the culture that you're looking for as well. So thank you for sharing that. And we're going to transfer next to our last panelist. We have Sue.
Good morning, everyone.
Relationships. Great. Thank you, Sue.
Thanks, Ray. Well, as Ray shared, my name is Sue. I use she, her pronouns, and currently I'm the director of our Inclusion, Diversity, Equity, and Learning, Corporate Integrity, and Employee Safety programs at Salem Health Hospitals and Clinics. I wear a lot of very different hats, and I see that Carl Camper, one of our systems director, is on the call. So shout out to Carl for joining us this morning. I'm very excited to be coming back to present at Oregon American College of Healthcare Executives on a topic that is very near and dear to my heart. In fact, it seemed just like yesterday, I was an undergraduate student at Oregon State University attending Oregon ACHE for the first time. Back then, it was still Oregon Society of Healthcare Executives. But I just remember being how amazed I was at the knowledge and the experience of the healthcare leaders and presenters in the room. And I remember thinking, am I ever going to get this good? I knew that Oregon ACHE was an organization that I had to be a part of. And in fact, that's how I served on this board for 5 years before actually eventually resigning to devote more time to my growing family. As a first generation Asian American leader, I've devoted most of my career to creating organizational culture committed to doing the right thing and demonstrating respect for people. I hold a Master's of Healthcare Administration from Pacific University, thanks Array, and is board certified through the Compliance Certification Board in Healthcare Compliance. This morning, Jeanette and Deli have provided such powerful and inspirational content to our early careerists. I'm going to drive us to the finish line and talk about an essential skill for early careerists in healthcare, cultivating relationships through a personal brand. But before we dive into the content, I want to share a little bit about the organization where I grew up working and achieving my professional milestones. Next slide. From my first role there in project management to now, Salem Health Hospitals and Clinics has been a community that has shaped my values and professional journey. Located right in the state capital of Oregon, I'm proud to have been part of a team dedicated to making a positive impact to improve the health and well-being of the people and communities we serve. Salem Health is licensed for 644 acute beds, serving patients across 5 counties. We have a sister critical access hospital in Dallas, Oregon, and a rural health clinic in Woodburn. With over 6,000 employees and over 300 volunteers, Salem Health is the largest private employer in Salem. We also have the busiest ED from Seattle to San Francisco, with over 100,000 emergency department visits per year and roughly 27,000 admissions. Our Salem Health Medical Group has grown significantly over the last decade. We now comprise of over 24 specialties, including cardiology, OBGYN, CT surgery, and orthopedics. Some notable awards and recognitions that we hold include being a Magnet recognized organization for a 3rd consecutive time. In fact, we just recently submitted our 4th Magnet designation to the American Nurses Credentialing Center. We are a baby-friendly designated birth facility, as well as accredited in our cancer program and our bariatric surgery, and we are a level 2 trauma center. Next slide. And so at the heart of it all really is our lean management system, which allows us to have standards, make connections up and downstream, build pathways, and problem solve to continuously add value for the patient. And using our lean mental models of leader as a sensei, going to the Gemba where the work is actually being done to see for yourself, having simple visual standards for all important things, making sure that we're not shipping junk. Problems are golden, just treasure them, and everyone solves problems using simple models. We have focused on maximizing values by minimizing waste, and it really has created more efficient quality and continuous improvement for our patient, including fostering an environment where all employees feel encouraged to share ideas, suggest improvements, and ultimately deliver better outcomes. Okay, so with that out of the way, let's jump into the actual meat of the presentation. So as an early careerist, it's important you understand what a personal brand is. Your personal brand is how you present yourself to the world, your values, your expertise, and your passions. Jeff Bezos, the founder of Amazon, was quoted as saying, "Your brand is what people say about you when you're not in the room." Your personal brand is how you are perceived by others, your reputation, your expertise, and the values you stand for. In hospital leadership, this brand is crucial for building trust, inspiring teams, and driving positive changes. It allows you to build meaningful connections that can set stage for your career growth, collaboration, and impact. Personal branding works best when people are able to connect and relate with you. It communicates the talents and values that you represent. How others have perceived you in the past, how they perceive you in the present, and how they envision the person you will be in the future is all about your personal brand. Next slide, please, Ray. So here are some strategies to consider when cultivating your personal brand. First, start by identifying your unique value proposition. Second, create or enhance your brand. Lastly, network and build relationships. Let's dive into some of these strategies in greater detail. The first strategy is figure out who you are. Be introspective. Create a list of your personal strengths and weaknesses. Define and express your value proposition. What matters to me? What do I want to be known for? What specific areas in healthcare am I passionate about? What leadership qualities do I possess? What unique perspectives can I bring to the table? And what are my strengths and skills? If you are unsure about your strengths, take a Strengths Finders test to look for a talent theme or a Myers-Briggs personality type to give insight on yourself. Next slide, please. The second strategy is to create or enhance your brand. As I shared earlier, your brand is how you carry yourself, whether it's at home, in the office, or even on your daily commute. I drive almost an hour to work, back and forth, so that's 2 hours a day that I'm on the road. A strong personal brand is built on a clear and compelling vision. Once you have figured out who you are, you can create or enhance your brand. In a field as dynamic and impactful as healthcare, you want to present yourself and your values, whether it's improving patient care, as Jeanette shared earlier, enhancing team collaboration, or advocating for more efficient or innovative practices. Let your vision do the driving. Lastly, you want to be consistent. Consistency goes a long way when you communicate a personal brand through your actions and decisions. This builds credibility and trust among your colleagues and team members. It also establishes visibility and presence in your organization. Here's an example that I personally like to share. I strive to embody a personal brand of responsible and accountable leader. Early on in my career, I had to deploy corrective action to an employee. I drafted the corrective action, and instead of emailing it to my leader for review, I emailed it to the employee who I was going to give the corrective action to. As you can imagine, the employee called me immediately in tears, and I was mortified. Nothing could fix the guilt I felt about how my action had harmed a peer that day. I apologized and owned my mistake. I shared what happened with my team and leaders and reflected by adding a new quality gate to make sure I had the correct email recipient. It was vital to return to the core values that define my personal brand. These values, responsibility, accountability, integrity, guided my response. Needless to say, to this day, I have not sent an incorrect email address. The key here is to stay value to your brand. Show your team that you're committed to these values, regardless of the unwavering challenging times. Next slide. And lastly, networking is just not about people. I think we talked a lot about that this morning. It's about building those relationships. Attend conferences, workshops, local events in the healthcare fields. Be genuine and curious by approaching others with sincere interest in their experience. Ask questions and listen actively to learn from their insights. Follow up after meeting someone. Send a personalized message. I love receiving those personalized messages. And express your appreciation for the conversation. Connect with your peers, maybe even professors or classmates who you attended courses with. They often have very valuable connections and insights that they can provide. And then consider seeking informational interviews. Reach out for insights by contacting professionals in the roles you aspire to be or to become, and ask for a brief chat to learn more about their career paths. And lastly, find a mentor and just find someone who is experienced, who can offer advice, introduce you to their network, and help navigate your early career and provide those valuable insights. Cultivating relationships through a personal brand is not just about authenticity, engagement, and genuine commitment. It takes time to develop the relationships you have at work, in the community, or through professional associations like Oregon ACHE. Strong relationships can enhance your personal brand. When people know and trust you, they are more likely to advocate for you, recommend you for projects, or consider you for promotions. And building relationships with colleagues provides a support system, helping you navigate the ups and downs of an early career experience. And these relationships can help foster an environment of shared knowledge. Remember that every relationship you build is a step toward making a greater impact in healthcare. And that wraps up my presentation on how you can cultivate relationships through a personal brand. This is my email address. I'm also on LinkedIn. Feel free to reach out to me.
Thank you, Sue. Wonderful information. I jotted down some of the lean information you shared, especially the problems are golden, which is a great way to have that positive spin on when we know problems and fires are always happening, especially on Fridays, right? I'm not going to jinx us though. So wonderful. Thank you all for your information today. There are comments. I did see a couple of questions. We're going to open it up now for questions. And I'm gonna, well, I'll share this for just a minute, and then I'll stop and we can see everybody's faces. But if you have questions, yeah, feel free to drop them there in the chat. I had a couple of things I pulled out, and then we do have a set of questions we can we'll work through as well. I'm gonna go back up through the list while you all are thinking of your questions from our audience here. Jeanette, to call on you. You spoke on passion and kind of what can bring you joy. I was just curious right now in your current position, what brings you joy, or, you know, what is it about your current position that makes you want to get up out of bed and come to work?
Sure. So, as I mentioned in the beginning of my presentation, I've been at SOC for a little over a year now. Transitioning careers from Palo Alto, California, right in the heart of the Bay Area, to Southern Oregon, little slower paced area, was different. Learning that my team didn't work the same as my Palo Alto team. And by the same, I just mean like the long hours, the grueling schedules, that sort of thing. And then I inherited a team that wasn't held to the same standards that I held myself and my team to. So I inherited a team that, some people just weren't showing up to work at all, or they were showing up, but they weren't present, they weren't engaged. So they really weren't showing up for their teams. Some of these people, some of the staff that I inherited, weren't being kind to patients. They weren't documenting patient interactions. They weren't providing clarity. They were, I'm embarrassed to say, but sometimes they would even get short with a patient or raise their voice to a patient on the phone. And so taking a year to really correct that and build a strong team, a team that really is invested in patient care and is now showing up to provide the best care that they possibly can to patients. Moving some people to a different department, finding that, maybe they shouldn't be a front-facing patient service representative. Maybe answering phone calls all day was really stressing them out, so they weren't showing up for patients. So maybe they needed to go to like in orders or referrals or, a different department to limit their exposure, but they could still do things that they were good at. So I got to utilize kind of one of my passions of finding places that people fit best in a company or an organization. And now I'm just so excited because I do have such a strong team that wants to be here for patient care. Seeing our survey feedback review saying that the check-in process made them feel human, made them feel seen, made them, laugh at check-in when they're here for, critical heart failure. If we can elevate the patient experience every day for each patient, it gets me so excited. And that's why I want to show up every day.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. You really enjoy the challenge, and it feels like you're able to enjoy the success of that too in overcoming that challenge. So thank you. Any of the other panelists want to add on to that? And then I have a couple of questions for each of you, but about what brings you joy in coming to work every day, or even, yeah.
Yeah, I do second what Jeanette had mentioned. In addition to cultivating a strong, cohesive team that really brings me passion every single day, is being able to share our passions with our colleagues and work alongside people who are also so passionate with the work that they do. Also, something that gives me passion in my job is being able to have the advocacy for our patients. I have a good mix of front face patient interaction and behind the scenes. So I get to connect with a lot of our patients and have those really, really difficult conversations of maybe what they're going through and helping them navigate the complex world of healthcare, insurance, follow ups, all of the things that could be really complex. So that definitely gives me passion every single day. In addition to working alongside that, also people who also share like same passions and drive, and who also want to show up and do good work for our patients and care about the patient experience as much as I do.
And Ray, I don't think I have anything else to add. I think Jeanette and Dahlia both kind of hit the nail on that one. So
I muted myself. I see a question here from Scott, which is going to get into one of our questions we were going to talk about anyway. So this is good. What tools, techniques, questions, coaching do you all have for helping those that report to you finding their passions? He says, Jeanette, you mentioned helping find, oh, I lost it. Finding the right job or spot in an organization for workers. Do you have similar stories to share?
Yeah, so this one, we want to handle it in a way that can feel good to everybody. We certainly can't just be like, well, you're not great at this role. Uh, and I really, you have to believe that they are bringing value to the organization, right? Like we want to train, grow, and develop people that really deserve to be there, right? They've earned a space in the organization. So I'm not saying, move people around that maybe shouldn't be there after all, right? But if people are valuable to the team, but you see that maybe they're just not in quite the right role, right? Like maybe you see them getting excited about something else. So within my patient services department, it is a little bit unique because I feel like it's multiple departments under one umbrella. I have, front desk people, I have call center, I have an orders department and a referrals department. So I do have my staff engage in a lot of shadowing. And it's in these shadowing moments that I see these little glimmers of excitement, right, in them. And then I look at how I can, shift and move people around. And if that works, that's something that I really like to do. And that really comes a lot from shadowing.
That's great. Yeah, I know I've been part of an Inspiring Leaders program where one of the options is to do informational interviews. And even if you think about a role or a department, I think it's just great that the leaders are open to sharing, spending a few times just kind of going through what does a day look like for you, which we all know can be very different. Or, what are the things you enjoy about your position or find challenging? So I think it's just great to be able to share that. So I'd ask those who are in leadership roles to be open to that. I mean, it can be a short conversation, or maybe you really find that relationship building, as Sue was talking about, through an informational interview in that way. So I think it can help you in both, if you're either the interviewee or the interviewer. Dahlia or Sue, anything to add on to that?
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely think it's so important to have those transparent conversations with your staff. I'm always asking all of my staff, where do you find your passion? Where do you see yourself? And it's really nice that some at the surgical sites, we have a diverse group of people. We have registered nurses, we have case managers, social workers, physicians, clinicians. And a lot of my medical assistants actually are going to nursing school now. They found that they're interested in that. And so I pair them a lot with the nurses. They get to work on our specialty visits and our surgical visits. So that way they can get that experience. And I'm constantly asking them, how are they doing? Are they still feeling motivated, inspired? Do they still have that passion? Because that could also change with time. I've had medical assistants come in where they have the passion for working directly with patients front facing, and that then changes. Then they want to get into social work. And so I'm able to connect with them and provide them those resources of then just like Jeanette mentioned with shadowing, allowing them to work with our case management team, allowing them to work with our social workers so that way they can expand that and really let their curiosity guide them to see if that's truly where they see themselves.
And as Dahlia, you were talking, I had noted a quote here, be hard on the process, not the people. And I think that's something that our lean management system teaches us, how do we, as leaders, continue to be in sensei and teach while at the same time, while we're teaching, being humble and how we inquire so that we learn, so that we know what's going on. And sometimes that means having to get out of the four walls of my office and out to the gemba, where the work is being done, and really observe and figure out. And what I am hearing is that what is actually happening. And that sparks some additional problem solving opportunities most of the time. And so small little nuggets that I can share with you this morning. Scott, thanks for your question.
Yeah, the power of rounding, right? We've all learned that through our leadership development or, training. Is that Studer? Anyway, the power, rounding and getting out. Thank you all for sharing. We do have a question, and Scott, I don't know if you have our lineup of questions, but you're doing really well at guiding our conversation. One of the questions I was going to ask our group was about mentors. So this was specific to you, Dahlia, but I think we can all chime in as well. In that moment of uncertainty with your nursing career divergence, did you have a mentor that inspired you or helped you find your way through that time to where you are now? Or even just the value of a mentor within any part of your career as well?
Yeah, that's a really great question. Thank you, Scott. Yes, I did have a mentor. It was an internship, and he was a director of a ton of outpatient facilities, and I worked directly with him. And he was amazing in that he allowed me to get a lot of hands-on practice. I was attending every meeting. I was seeing the behind the scenes of all the world of healthcare and healthcare administration. And I remember I once told him, I'm like, you know what? I one day want to do that. I want to do exactly what you're doing. I saw the passion that he had, and he allowed me to, he saw the skills that I brought and gave me projects that utilize my skills so I could further expand them. And it's with that, we've continued the mentorship, and it's something that I've greatly appreciated. And he allowed me to have many opportunities. And it's through that partnership that I was fully able to dive into my true interests and have that hands-on and firsthand exposure to, which really was helpful.
Thank you. Jeanette or Sue, anything to add with that?
I was really fortunate in one of my previous roles to have actually an executive coach. And I got an executive coach when I became more of like a senior leadership, right? Like when I became more of a director level. And that we met weekly, and it kind of felt like therapy, but it also was executive coaching, so it's this great hybrid model where I could just bounce ideas off of his expertise and say, like, am I thinking about this correctly? Am I approaching this with the right, frame of mind? Am I being kind and compassionate? Because when we're young careerists or early in a higher level role, we want to be sure that we're approaching things correctly, and we can sometimes doubt ourselves, right? So having professionals that have gone through similar journeys to get to where they are and can share that level of expertise and historical knowledge, I think was really valuable. And I worked with him for close to 2 years, and it was just so powerful and impactful for me.
I think the only thing I would add is just it's great having internal and external mentors inside your organization and outside your organization. One of my mentors is actually one of my old college professors who I still keep in touch with, and she doesn't work at Salem Health, but has a lot of healthcare insights and knows people and kind of what's happening, and that helps a lot when there are things happening where I'm like, I just need to bounce an idea off of someone. And it's always great having those internal mentors and relationships because that really helps in problem solving and when you've identified a gap or when you really need to lean into other stakeholders to help get through an issue.
Oh, very, very good, all of you. Just great to hear your stories and how the mentors have impacted you, or even if you are now a mentor. I'll just share real quickly, and then Valdez, I see your hand up as well. I've had several either formal or informal mentors in my career. You can find, the question that might come up is, how do I find a mentor? And as an introvert myself, it can be hard to make that personal connection, but I would say you got to step out. If you're at a networking event, I even tell myself now I need to introduce myself to, two new people or whatever it might be, even though it's outside my comfort zone. Introducing yourself to people, figuring out, even reading a room and seeing maybe this person could be helpful. I'm going to connect with them. Finding people on LinkedIn, connect with all of us today. Please do. We can help you with that. Professional associations like ACHE, AHIMA have a mentoring program. So I would say, there might be formal ways you can find a mentor as well. And then, I would just say it's great to have someone outside of your specific area sometimes, because you can find things like, yeah, we're struggling with the same thing. I hear that in what you're experiencing. You can have those shared experiences, like Sue said, even someone who's outside your organization as well, or even someone outside of healthcare can help you, even just knowing yourself better and what skill set you need to create in yourself. Valdez, yeah.
Should have that. Thank you so much. This has been such a great panel. I think like a lot of people, I just so much, ideas firing in my head. And one thing I just kind of realized with this is like, personally, like I joined the Army at 18, I signed up, it was air traffic control or fixing medical equipment. I fixed that. And now kind of more like a Plinko game of not knowing where I'm going to end up. Here I am. It was not planned. It was not like some kind of goal. But then others, I feel like, have a very clear sense they want to be a chief nurse executive or a physician executive or a healthcare CEO type. And it's more like a ladder. And they're just finding that step. And it's a very clear on like who they should talk to, because who's doing that next job on the ladder that can talk to and learn about that. And so it's just interesting, especially Jeanette, and you all have kind of touched on this, that like, I think like following your heart and your passion, whether it's like first leading that ladder up and deciding what really drives you, what excites you, what kind of work you like to do, what you're all about, what your values and lived experience have informed, where you're going to put that ladder, or whether you're like me in the Plinko game and every little Plinko move, you use that same guidance, I think you're going to have a good outcome in the end, even if you end up someplace that you never expected. So I just wanted to acknowledge that. I think that is like a great kind of little epiphany I had on this, because I've always felt like an accidental career. But I think a lot of people in this day and age, and some of your stories kind of reflect that too. And so my question would be, Jeanette, like, given that, especially being in HR and how, is that something that we as supervisors, leaders, when we're talking to our staff who are like, I know I'm happy with my job, but I know I want to do more, but I don't know what. I guess it's, how do you kind of like incorporate that into your like monthly check-ins and mentorship that you do kind of on the day-to-day?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I do, it's so fun to be on this other side of mentorship, right? Like not receiving the mentoring so much, but being a mentor for others. At first, it was kind of like, oh my gosh, this just means I'm getting older. But now it's like, oh, this is such an honor. And one person that I have an absolutely blast being a mentor for her. She is the department lead. And when I came here, she had been newly promoted, but hadn't been given any guidance, right, onto what this promotion meant to her. And I think so many companies and organizations do this. And it's a bit of a disservice, right? We promote people and then we don't give them the tools they need to thrive in that new promotion. So constantly checking in with people, creating clear paths for them and clear expectations. So we wrote a new job description for her, right? Because she wasn't given any guidelines or expectations about what a lead was supposed to do. So she was just continuing as being a patient service representative. And so when I started, I was like, well, this person's not really a lead, right? Like, why are they a lead? Why were they promoted? So having those open, honest, transparent conversations about, these are my expectations for you. Do those seem fair and reasonable to you? Is this something that you're interested in? If yes, great, let's continue. If no, okay, let's find where you actually belong. And I do that with not only my leadership staff, but with my patient service representatives as well. Check in with them, make sure that, you know, they're getting what they need from me. And in my annual reviews, and I'm also working into doing quarterly check-ins because I think those are important. But in my annual reviews, I ask for my staff to review me as well. You know, how am I showing up for them? And that's a big one for me, is I want to make sure that they're getting everything that they need from me. If I'm asking them to show up specifically in specific ways for the SOC and for me, then I want to be doing the same for them. And I hope I answered your question.
Well, yeah,
That's great.
love that. Appreciate it.
Well, we have just under 10 minutes left. If there are any other questions, please add them. I have two, but I'm going to start with, you know, self-assessment, self-reflection has been heard through all of this. I'm going to share one tool that I use and I've shared with students is ACHE has a kind of a competency assessment you can take to see what areas you need to grow in. You know, what are you competent with? Where do you need to grow? With that, I wanted to ask the panelists, where do you, what are some of the most effective ways you obtain new skills or new learning? Do you have any resources? And I know, Dahlia, you shared some of those, but if any of the rest of you have, what are some of those ways you learn new things or kind of build your competencies as well as a leader?
I think through professional associations, or Ray, what you shared with ACHE, you know, if you find a niche in healthcare, I know you and I are both a part of the Healthcare Compliance Association. There's a lot of really great tools, self-assessment tools that you can tap into that are usually part of the resource that's provided by the professional association. That's something that I recommend people look into.
That's great. And then Jeanette, I know you talked about some of the certifications you have. I know that's a lot of where I lean into as well. Is there something you could gain, either, you know, a micro credential, some type of smaller, or not smaller, I will say some of the certifications do take a lot of time. But how did you kind of gain those credentials and your interest there?
Sure. So younger me and, you know, younger me out of my bachelor's program, you know, school is expensive, right? And so younger me was always asking my employers what was covered, you know, what was like an employee benefit. Were there additional learning experiences that I could utilize? So like my University of Davis certificate in consumer and sensory science was paid for by my company that I was working for at the time. At Bay Area Cancer Connections, we had a big initiative for diversity, equity, inclusion. So we paid for the staff to attend, you know, an online 6-week course for diversity, equity, inclusion, so we could all be certified together. Here at SOC, we were part of MedAxiom, so there's weekly or monthly more cardiology related learnings. But then also within a company or organization, I always ask senior leadership, you know, what would be helpful for me to succeed? So here we have a weekly CAF conference that doctors and providers attend. So I asked to be invited to CAF conference. I'm not going to become a surgeon anytime soon, but hearing the knowledge and just the terminology, I feel like allows me to appreciate more what our patients are coming in for. And I can, you know, meet them and show up for them every day with more compassion and more understanding of why they're coming into our building in the first place. So really, I really try to dive into any learning that is available within the company or organization I'm a part of.
That's perfect. Yeah, take advantage of any I won't say freebie, but any money, any training that's available throughout your organization. And also, like you said, join committees. Osmosis is a great way to learn things. I know I've been part of a lot of committees where it's not quite part of the job role, but just hearing it really gives you a better sense of the direction your organization is going in. It can just help with a lot of things and understanding all of the acronyms we have and growing acronyms we have in healthcare. Anything else to add, Dahlia or Sue, on that? And I just have one more question for you, Dahlia.
I think I would just add, as a leader, I think it's really important that we are continuing to help our employees with their professional growth. So I always make it a point during my one-on-one time with my employees, what are your professional growths? How can I help you get there? Or how can the organization help you get there? And then really help advocate for your employees and your teams. Because there are some team members who are just not sure. And in fact, I acquired a whole new team. Actually, I built a whole new team a year ago. Really what we learned through this past year and kind of where the team was, over half of the team ended up going back to school, either get a bachelor's degree or a master's degree, because that was something that the organization can help with from a financial assistance perspective. And so it's just good to continue to check in with the team members and make sure that you understand what their professional journey is, because we're all on a journey, and it's good that we all understand how we can get there together.
Thank you. Yeah, very good. I was just curious, Dahlia, you mentioned a vision board, and I was just curious, do you do that on an annual basis, or what's your, and we only have a couple minutes, but your process, or, what is on your vision board as well?
Yeah, that's a great question. I do have a vision board. It's like my little arts and crafts day once a year. I have a personal vision board, and then I have a professional vision board. It's really fun. I get like cutouts from magazines. I put it all together. My friends and I do it together. It's really great. So on my professional vision board is to continue pursuing further education, is seeking out further mentorship, really trying to expand my career and my career development. My personal vision board, again, all the fun stuff, right? Drinking more water, walking a little bit more every day. So it is something I like to make to have very fun. And then I try to bring that to the team too, to my personal team at work. For our staff meetings, we'll create like a really quick vision board of like what the goals that they want to reach. And I'll give them like little magazine cutouts. We have an hour. So, we have some time to get our arts and crafts done. And it's been something that's really fun. It's productive, but it's also a really fun way to kind of try to put it down on paper. And I have my vision board out in my room all the time. I'm seeing it on a daily basis, and I like to save them so I could see the progression over the years. And that's been something that's really, really special to continue doing.
That's a great activity. I know I have a paper planner with a vision board on it with my goals for the year, and I love this time of year. So September is a great time to plan. It's actually better than January. I listened to a podcast from Mel Robbins on that, so check that out as well. Well, I think we're wrapping up. I want to thank you all for your time today. Please continue to send questions, reach out to us. And thank you, Valdez, for the welcome today. And just great to see everyone today. Thank you, panelists, for sharing all of your expertise.
On behalf of ACHE, I want to thank our chapter leaders that planned today's session, our moderator and panelists, and all of you for your participation. Please complete the evaluation, which is open for 1 week. The direct link is in the chat box. You can also access the evaluation by visiting your My ACHE page and selecting My Online Learning from the Helpful Link section on the right side of the screen. From there, click on the Access My Courses link, and you will be directed to our learning management system where you can complete the evaluation. In the same location, you will be able to access the recording of this session within approximately 2 business days. Everyone who attended today's event in its entirety will see their 1.5 hours of virtual interactive education credit posted to their My ACHE account within 2 weeks of this session in the My Education Credit section. That concludes our session, which is copyrighted in 2024 by the American College of Healthcare Executives. All rights reserved. Thank you, everyone, and have a fantastic weekend.
Thank you.